Everybody, it's your girl from PJammaLyfe Studio South, PJamma. And so today we have a lot to review, including Hocus Pocus 2. And then our old standbys, Andor, She-Hulk, House of the Dragon, and Rings of Power. And we're coming up to the end of a couple of those episodes, so definitely we want you to stay in. So let's say welcome back. Wait a minute.
The brother left.
That one.
There, buddy. The guru of all things Star Wars with his encyclopedia knowledge of Star Wars lore. David, welcome back.
It's great to be back. Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining us tonight. What an outstanding group of programs to talk about, including the sequel to a long-time cult classic that so many people have enjoyed. What a great night to be back together.
All right. And our super fan of all things Marvel and our professor of all things Tolkien. Say hey to the people. Patrick. It's actually Patrick this week.
Yeah, there was nothing that would stand out enough to make me want to change my name. So I'll just be me, and we'll be just fine. Hey, everybody. Good stuff to talk about. And, I still got axes to grind, and we'll get that whetstone going here in a few minutes.
Oh, Lord. That's why we're saving that to the end. Well, why don't we get started with 30-year wait and anticipation for the sequel. Did anybody ask for the sequel though? Hocus Pocus 2. Let's take a peek.
Yes?
I banish thee from Salem forever.
29 years ago, on Halloween night, some swear they saw 3 figures fly across the moon.
If we intend to live past sunrise, we have to brew the life potion and steal their souls.
Why would she ask about our plans? She knows what we're doing.
Poison apple! Poison apple! Would you like a poisoned apple? Oh, thou must never announce that they are poison, sister. No one will eat them if they think they're deadly. Amateur.
Well, since I think David really enjoyed it, let's have him start off with his take on Hocus Pocus 2.
Well, let's talk about this flick. Well, first off, there was no need to make a sequel. Not everything needs a sequel. Coming to America probably didn't need a sequel. Return of the Jedi, I think at this point we can say, didn't need a sequel.
Yes, it did.
Hocus Pocus probably didn't need a sequel either. A wonderful cast. We had a bit of a Veep reunion. Richard and Gary going by the wonderful actors' characters in this. That was fun to see. I thought the young girl that played Bette Midler, I mean, I was just, saw it early. That was great. She did a wonderful job. It was cute. It was sweet. The first one is all you need. Man, that was actually good. It really kind of holds up. But, in an afternoon, when you're not in the emergency room or you're not dealing with too much post-op stuff, not that anyone had to deal with any of that kind of medical mumbo jumbo, it was an okay film. It's a good way to kind of start your Halloween movie watching, I suppose. But, not that great, but, a decent start. Let's say that.
Okay, I'm going to go next. So I watched the original Hocus Pocus first, and that movie is terrible. It's terrible. I was like, ooh, wow. And then I watched Hocus Pocus 2. I actually liked it. That the acting for sure was much better. They are definitely better actresses, better singers. And the story was better. I thought it was a nice little take and an updated kind of movie about Salem and witches and the whole thing. It was nice to see Doug Jones reprise his role as Billy Butcherson. And you also know him as Saru from Discovery and Count the Baron in What We Do in the Shadows. So I like him. And Bette Midler and Sarah Jessica Parker and Kathy Najimy, they're all really solid, good comedic actresses. I thought I heard somewhere that Kathy Najimy can no longer do that kind of thing she did in the first one. So they kind of had to, do some editing around that. But I thought it was a cute little updated story. And, but there was some really kind of adult things, scary things in there in both the original, which got hung, and and then some things in this one. So maybe little kids, it might be a little scary for. But I think bigger kids and older kids definitely. I think it's a better movie overall. Is it great? Maybe not, but this is one that definitely improved upon the original, in my opinion.
That's interesting. Okay.
It did not improve upon the original.
No.
It is wrong. The first one was fine. They should have left it there. I had a problem. Okay, first off, the actress that played the little girl, or the younger version of Bette Midler, she was the shining star in that whole damn thing.
Yeah, she
was
really
amazing.
Was.
She had the mannerisms down. It was solid, super solid. 10 out of 10. No notes for her.
Yep.
Oh God.
But I'm like, why and like Dave said, why do we need to make a sequel? Not everything needs a sequel. Let's just let it.
Cheaper to make a sequel than it is to start something fresh.
Just let it be. Make one movie. Be happy with it. Then they had to update the ending so that the Sanderson sisters got kind of a happy ending as opposed to a bad. I was like, no, they're horrible. The evil people. Let them have a terrible ending. Yeah, there's no morality play involved in this. There's no instructive lesson other than just.
She loved her sisters.
If you're terrible and good enough, they'll make a second movie and you'll be less terrible. Great, good job. Everybody wins. Yay! No, it was the first movie was so much better. Ugh. And it wasn't that great. I mean, they're both terrible. They're both just C movies. Yeah. But they were fun. And Bette Midler carries a lot of the first one. one.
Oh, yes.
And then the second one, there was nobody really carrying it. It was just kind of everybody was just okay.
Well, I felt like they gave Sarah Jessica Parker a lot more to do in this one. And she
that's fine and everything, but there was nothing to carry. Right. I mean, it was just it was nostalgic fluff is what it was. And everybody, I thought it was. I mean, there was the music numbers were not great as good as they were in the first one.
That made me mad that they kind of ripped off Thriller. I didn't like that. They could have had some different dances. It was dang near the exact.
It was a Thriller rip off, and I mean the whole thing. Just enjoy the first movie. Why do we let us have this other one, which was not a great movie, but it was nostalgic and everybody liked it because they were younger when they watched it, and it was cute. And then Bette Midler was funny, and you had Sarah Jessica Parker going amok, and it was fun. Yeah. But
I did like
but why do we need to keep? And I understand the almighty dollar makes things happen. So Bette Midler's
Thriller's from 1984. People can rip on that. It's in the public domain now.
It isn't.
It is. Public domain.
They better pay those choreographers stealing our dances. That's a whole nother thing. So, but I think it's a sandwich review. But I think the kids will like it. I think people shouldn't take it so seriously. and just enjoy a little silly Halloween little picture for the young and young at heart.
Oh.
And it's short. It was what, an hour and 40 minutes? Yeah, it won't take too long.
Which was about 45 minutes too long. Yes.
Anywho,
Maybe so.
move on to the next, which is Heist in Space. This week's episode of Andor. Let's take a peek.
You didn't come with much. That plus the bad arms, pretty clear you left wherever you were in a hurry. You're lucky to be alive right now.
You wanted this to happen. This is what it took. It's never going to be perfect.
Not too many Darnies to worry about anymore, though, eh? Can you imagine this place with a couple of thousand of them?
Everyone has their own rebellion. The rebellion.
To the rebellion.
Nice clip. All right, hit us with that encyclopedia knowledge of Star Wars, David.
This was an interesting episode. On one hand, absolutely nothing happened. On another hand, quite a bit happened in terms of character development.
Yeah.
And still, on a third hand, if one could have another third or fourth hand in this, that it was missing one kind of, at least one little nod to some aspects of an excitement. And I think that upon consideration, should have been there. That said, I love all of this. I'm enjoying every bit of this world building. This, again, very Brian Daley-esque kind of real world Star Wars building. We're off center stage. Diego Luna continues to really knock it out of the park in his role. I'm enjoying all the other pieces. And there is a part of me, I won't get too much into my day job, but I loved kind of the bureaucratic aspect of this. If the Imperial Security Bureau could have like referenced some kind of like standard Imperial form or talk about the importance to adherence to internal controls, my heart would have just been beating. Now, I will say this, and now this week's been interesting because, again, of where I've been and what I'm doing. I did fall asleep in it a couple of times myself.
Yeah.
Now, I feel like I have an excuse, but the lack of even one big like semi-battle, they could have run into like an Imperial troops and had a battle. Maybe one of the rebels could be an alien. But I love what's going on with Mon Mothma and her family and the tensions there. Yeah. And it's very non-Star Wars-y, real-world Star Wars. It's just like if we listen to Beru and Owen talk about what they're going to do with the boy and why he can't get his head out of the stars or want to go to Tashi Station. It's as if we stayed there in one of those conversations. Mm-hmm. But I'm loving it. I am loving it.
Yeah. Pat, what'd you think?
Oh, this is by far the best thing we watched this week. I'm going to tell you. I was not all in on it because all the Star Wars parts that I like about Star Wars were not in this. But this is a wonderful drama. I mean, you're in, like Dave commented on, this is really doing some wonderful character development. I care about these people now. I mean, you really start seeing motivations. You start seeing, kind of conflicts. You see the stuff, the tensions in the group. I mean, this is pretty well done stuff, without... every now and then you get a TIE fighter flies over the valley. That's kind of fun. It's perhaps, one of the better Star Wars things I've seen in a while. I mean, I'd like to see a lightsaber, sure, but this is great drama stuff going on here.
Yeah, and I think it really kind of gives more of a human face to it all. You've got, these silly political infighting with with the Empire, which is really like any other government, which is somebody's trying to move ahead off somebody else. Somebody's trying to find out why somebody's not doing it according to rule book 7249.87-3C.
Reorg. There's a reorg at ISB.
And then there's that woman trying to reorg to find something so she can move ahead. It's out of every government ever, and including in space. So, and I like, but one thing, my only criticism is kind of Diego Luna and his always yelling. At some point in every scene, he's like, "No, what do you want to do?" But then it's always him, and it's like, dude, can you just talk without becoming over animated about every dang thing? Can you like chill out and just talk to people? And it's like, oh, okay, here he is again. But I do like that it's this band of kind of misfits that's going in with this really crazy plan to steal, not weapons or cash of weapons. They're going in to steal just cash. Which is hilarious to me that they're going in to steal the payroll. It's so funny. But I think it's a great, and it's a different kind of look because you get kind of like in Stellan Skarsgård's character, you get the elite kind of view of the world, and then you get the gritty underbelly of what it costs to have that world. So I really like that tension in the story, and I'm waiting for next week because I want to see if they actually do the heist next week or if it's going to be dragged out another couple of episodes.
This whole series is the most Firefly thing since Firefly.
Isn't
the more I
that
think about
right?
it, I mean, really, the more I think about it, you got this low tech rebellion against the evil Galactic Empire or the Federation or whoever. I mean, it's all you need is Nathan Fillion in there with Captain Tight Pants, and there you go.
Exactly. Oh, what a great reference there to the Shindig episode. We could do there was an
They need a Jane. They need a Jane.
Gosh.
You could take those characters. You could take that ship, and you could just put them in to Star Wars, and they
very
would
easily
flourish.
Yeah, very easily.
It would be awesome.
All of us are children, including Joss Whedon, Firefly, are children of Star Wars. So it's gonna have an influence. But one thing I did like about this episode was Commander Gorn and that guy, we had it in the clip talking about the Daharians.
Yes.
And how, the guy was like, ugh, those people, so I can't believe that there were 10,000 of them. And, can you imagine the smell? So racist. And that he's talking to someone who I'm going to make a prediction. I guess they did say he was in love with the Dahani.
Yeah.
Right. Dahanian. But I was almost thinking he might be Dahani. That you have to sit up there and listen to this casual racism. It's like, ugh. But hopefully he'll have his payback. The big payback is coming here soon. So definitely the whole family can watch. I wanted to smack that daughter for being so super disrespectful, and the husband for being super creepy weird. So I hope something bad happens to him. And but everybody can watch it. Everybody should be watching Andor, right, fellas?
Oh, absolutely.
Andor.
If the same level of thought and care to script and character development was in other pieces of Star Wars, you could have your Jedis and have some fun and humor. But if there was that same amount, man, it would all be just at a tremendous artistic level. I say that in all sincerity.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. We'll see what comes up in these Max shows. Okay, so next up is, I think, Smash with She-Hulk. She got, and Pat had somebody there who is very excited to see. So let's check out
Yes.
She-Hulk. Maybe.
Or not.
Or not. Or kinda. Sort of, maybe. Well, why don't we just talk about it?
We'll just talk about
we
it.
have something. Then we have some. Pat, you're our guru of all things Marvel. Hip us up to what's behind the scenes of this kind of story.
Well, I had, they've alluded to it, and you saw the first appearance of Matt Murdock in the official MCU back in Spider-Man: No Way Home. Which was a delightful cameo. I'm not going to lie, with him catching the rock, and they're like, "Can you do that?" Yeah, all the good lawyers can. And I'm like, "Ha ha ha, good, gotcha." I saw how that happened.
Yeah.
But the She-Hulk series is set in on the West Coast.
Mm-hmm.
So for Matt Murdock to be there had to be some sort of weird reason, and he kind of hit at it. That this guy who he's coming to to represent was someone who he owed a debt to, since he was making him his more in the uniform, and the outfit he had on was the original Daredevil, the Stanley Mike Ditko version, yellow and black look, was the original Daredevil before he did the whole red thing.
Yeah.
So super cool, and it was really good because Charlie Cox the Daredevil series is still one of the best series that from the Marvel universe that they've done. Either Disney, actually that was Netflix, but Disney owns it now. You can still watch it on Disney Plus. I recommend it to you if you haven't watched it. It's probably one of the really best series that they did. Charlie Cox is amazing, and Tatiana Maslany, she was there. She did her thing. You get to see some more stuff. You get to see the big baddies starting to come out. The Intelligentsia, who was a evil super group, a super villain group, not quite the Legion of Doom, but it was all the brainy villains from several different books. You had MODOK was one of them, which there's a Hulu series animated with Patton Oswalt doing the voice of MODOK, which is hilarious. There, got all these brains. You got the leader. You got, I can't remember the name of the guy. I can see him, but he was like a big brainy villain to the Fantastic Four. Reed Richards, who's like one of the great three brains in Marvel Universe. The great three brains, of course, being Tony Stark, Iron Man, Hank Pym, who was the original Ant-Man, and of course Reed Richards, who is Mr. Fantastic. Those are the big three brains. Of golden era Marvel. So it's there's a lot of stuff going on. I don't know how they're gonna shake it out when the Intelligentsia shows up. I don't know if they got a second season on the books already, because it looks like they're building towards cutting it off with the reveal of the Intelligentsia, and She-Hulk going after them, and maybe no resolution. I can see it very easily being a 2-season kind of story arc. We'll see how it goes. I don't know what they got going, but it was fun. It wasn't as glib as it has been. It was a little bit more go, go, go type of thing. The fight between She-Hulk and Daredevil, though, was pretty solid.
Yeah. And I thought that, I think I like the series for what it is. I'm not expecting it to be something else. But I was I kind of get tripped up into, are they talking about women's issues, or are they condemning women in some of it? I don't know, but the Intelligentsia's reveal of, this is who She-Hulk really is, but it all seemed to be like sexual stuff, and I was like, okay, so I was just kind of like, well, what's the reveal? What has she done bad except have boyfriend, which every young person has? And if it was a guy and he had a bunch of girlfriends, why would that be something that people should be like coming down on her about?
Yeah.
So I didn't like that. I just thought that was pretty sexist. Maybe that's the point. But I kind of was like, oh, why couldn't it just be that they just don't like her because she has powers and they don't? or she's destroying property all over the place, which, what's his name? Matt Murdock was like, well, how do you get away with all this property destruction you keep doing? And I kind of don't like the guy who's the tailor. I kind of am like fed up with him being so dismissive, or it's just, I'm like, come on, dude, it's a little, I don't like that. And so I liked the episode, but there were a couple of little things I was like, what are y'all trying to do? So, but I definitely want to see next week, because all of that at the end with the, oh, okay, this is over, the fourth wall stuff, I was kind of like, okay, now, y'all, this is a little much. But then this whole thing happened, so we'll see. But David, what do you think?
Well, it is interesting, and I might need to watch it again, but I do feel like they are trying to put, and not in very subtle terms, but kind of a magnifying glass on culture's behavior towards women, or in particular, the worst examples of men's culture on women, with like the slut shaming or whatever, with her in that.
I was like,
I think, and I think I'm open to that for a little bit, but I guess there's a part of me, is that all you've got? And you're putting that into a 30-minute sitcom where the lead character talks to you there. I don't know what they want to do. It looked like they had 3 or 4 competing kind of premises to the show. And at this juncture, and watching Andor, because you are impacted by other things you're seeing, it's not good. I'm not liking it anymore. I gave it a chance at first. My first and foremost, She-Hulk is not a good attorney. She is not a good attorney. There's a reason why they fired her in episode 2. You do not go to court without reading all the stuff on that man's costume. You just don't. You need to know. I mean, Matt Murdock comes out of nowhere. So she's a terrible attorney. That's first and foremost. And I'd say that if she's a man, go to court that bad. All I'm saying.
I don't think you have to worry about her being an attorney for much longer.
And the thing also is, they are really propping up She-Hulk with all these other characters that people have an interest in. I mean, some of that's good, but there's a point where it's like, do you not know how to write a woman heroine, a female protagonist that can lead a show and grab you without having these extras in here that happen, in this case, happen to be men? Talk to me. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah. I hear you. I still like it. I think Pat still likes it.
Oh, I do.
Yeah, so I think it's kind of a mixed review, but I definitely think it's something little kids might not catch it all, but it's a little racy. And I'm for it, but I'm an adult. So, parents, just kind of keep your eye on it. But it's fun. It's lighthearted. This was one of the more superhero-y ones. And so I was glad to see they're finally getting to the superhero stuff. And hopefully they'll continue that. But it's a mixed review, so go check it out for yourself and see what you... Well, I don't have any mixed review for myself on the next one, House of the Dragon, this week with Driftmark. Take a peek.
History does not remember blood. It remembers names.
Yes, I was a child. And look at what my life became without you. Droll tragedy.
Well, I wonder what you think of mine by comparison.
Allison and her ridiculous jealousy. I'm sick of her. I was hoping that Rhaenyra would like bring in her dragon and just burn up Allison. I'm tired. But a great episode. This one had everything you want. I can do without this show. Parents, this show is not at all for children. At all. But if you're an adult with adult taste, this is a great show. Man, you had the little Lord of the Flies sequence. You had dragon riding. You had like family drama in there. It was like some great political maneuvering, and then a great twist at the end that I didn't quite catch until I saw it. I was like, oh wow, that's pretty cool. So this was one of my favorite episodes, and I definitely think that they got a really good start to this series. It's going to be interesting. I think we do another time jump next week. So we're going to see the kids now much older and what's happening. I don't know what's going to happen to the king, Viserys. Viserys will probably have no legs, one finger, and probably one eye. It's been a few more years. So it'll be interesting to see what they're going to do to this poor man. But this was definitely something interesting and something gross happened. I was like, ugh. And, well, it's the week. Y'all should have seen it by now, so we're going to spoil it. But Rhaenyra and Daemon finally consummating their love. And then in a vampiric ceremony getting married. I was like, gosh, ugh. So much blood, so much gross. I could do without that in my, stories. Pat, you read the books. What do you think?
The time jumps make it really hard to care about anybody because I just started getting into the story. This story is going this way, and all of a sudden, oh, by the way, we've went 20 years and that shit got resolved. We're doing something different this week, and I'm just like, It gets hard to get connected to the characters when every 2 weeks you've changed situations, you've changed stories, you've changed the landscape of everything that's going on. It's a detraction for me. Overall, it's not bad, and yeah, surprised. Rhaenyra and Daemon got together. Who saw that coming? Everybody. If you didn't think it was coming,
I didn't think they would actually show it though.
You not think that George R. Martin and the Game of Thrones people would be into this? Dude, go go watch episode 1 of Game of Thrones. Episode 1. Right there it happens. And and it's like it's not like Jamie. It's not Jamie and Cersei. I mean, they were literally womb mates at one point, and then you got at least there's a couple degrees. There's a couple degrees of separation. I mean, it's not nearly as creepy as that. Everybody was like, okay, yeah, that's terrible, but okay, every week you kept the series consistent. You jumped. Last week was last week or last month. I mean, you still got the same stuff. Same stuff going on. Nothing got resolved, but in this series, the resolutions so much stuff happens off screen, and it's just they kind of parenthetically tell you what's going on. It makes it hard to get as involved.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying it. Don't get me wrong. I mean, it's pretty cool, and I like Matt Smith is badass, and there was some definite f around and find out moments going on there.
That was the best because that kid David was being horrible.
Little shit, and he got well.
Got what he got. He got is what happened.
He effed around and found out. I'm just saying.
Yep, and God. That's
So,
what
I
I
mean,
was like.
that was. I mean, it's entertaining, but it's hard to get as sucked in as you could, as I did with Game of Thrones and some other series, you know, where
I'm all the way sucked in. I'm like,
well, I mean, because continuity just gets weird. So that's what I mean. I'm enjoying it. I recommend it, but it's still it's a little tougher ride. I'm just saying.
Yeah, David, what do you think?
Well, you know, that's my biggest point here is, while I thought that the initial lead female characters, the queen, the would-be queen, and the heir to the throne, I thought they were too young to carry their roles. When we switched them out, it's like, who are they? And I'm back. I mean, there was a reason why, like Peter Dinklage, who did such a wonderful job in Game of Thrones, you got to know him, you got to know his character and his portrayal of that character over several seasons, and you gained a real respect and affection for him. It's square one again with these kids. You can't care every week, so that's a problem with it. It's really gory. Don't go to any official event. Don't go to a wedding. Don't go to a funeral. Just don't go. Don't go.
Call off sick.
Send a gift to someone you don't like.
Just takes away. It takes away. I think it's very intriguing. The incest, though, it makes us look at our society and our royal. Obviously, no one knew that Queen Elizabeth was going to pass as this show was going on. It is based on an English Civil War in part. You want to see some freaky stuff? Look at royals and how they kept the lines going. It's a little harsh spin on divine rule of kings. So there you go there. Fun show, but it does make you kind of take stock every now and again. I'll say that.
This is what I was doing during that whole scene. Can I zip through it? And now I'm like, have a rule to start kind of 5 minutes late. So then when I can advance on my DVR 5 minutes and zip through some scenes, because the way they shot it too was like, the romance of the century is finally here to be. Oh, and I'm like, but them as a power couple in terms of, you know, going against any enemy to their family's rule, it made sense, but it's gross. So in our modern sensibilities, that's gross. So
even in their time and sensibility, it wasn't looked upon well.
I mean, but people
cousins,
like,
but you know, back then,
they were like, "That's gross, not in my family," but that's what them people do. You know, that's what those gross people do. So.
Just call it Family Feud and be done with it.
That's pretty much.
Get Richard Dawson back, dig him up, just have him do the show.
Yeah, but definitely want to see now how the kids. This piece of hair is driving me. How the kids then will take on these family fractures now, because this family is now broken. When a grown ass auntie tries to come for the other nephew's eye, you know, that's ridiculous. So I was like, you dumb. And so
now, did everybody catch the weapon used there? By the way, that is the cat's paw dagger that Arya killed the White King with.
Shut up!
It's been going all the way through. It's the Valyrian steel, and it has a history. That's the actual weapon that Arya did the cool little move and stabbed the White King with. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Thank you, Patrick. That's why we have our dude on this show.
Right.
To tell us these important little details. And it had Targaryen blood in it. So that's cool. So definitely check out. You might need to cover your eyes on some scenes, but check out House of the Dragon. It's very, very good. Okay, and last we have Amazon Prime tentpole show of what is it? J.R. Tolkien, Rings of Power. Let's take a peek.
Lydia, please, keep walking.
It darkens the heart to call dark deeds good. It gives place for evil to thrive inside us.
I will not risk dwarven lives to help the elves cheat death. But their time has come.
He's fixing it. Just like Sadok said he would.
You are no longer to be burdened by the day. This is our land now.
Okay, I thought the final moment of the episode, that was the coolest part of the episode.
Yeah.
That was really cool. But Patrick, briefly, please tell us what you thought of this week's episode.
Well, first off, they have
Lord.
decided to continue on with this ridiculous BS storyline about Mithril going to rejuvenate the elves, which, yeah, whatever. That's just total bullshit. It's wrong. So there we go. So that why? I mean, there's other good storylines. It was okay lot to watch. I mean, but I'm really having to struggle maintaining my indignities over this raping of the corpse of J.R. Tolkien's works. But at least finally Galadriel mentioned she had a husband. Didn't say where she was or what was going on with him, but if you go to the Lord of the Rings, Galadriel and Celegorm are the rulers of Lothlorien, so he's around somewhere.
I mean, she gotta go and be all she can be as a warrior. She ain't got time to sit at home with her frilly house dress, making elven cookies.
First off, she's got to go revenge her brother who had nothing. I mean, which the whole revenge plot was wrong. So. I mean, the whole premise of a lot of stuff is just going weird ways, and I just have real problems with them totally rewriting big chunks of history where the elves and the dwarves are all buddy, and Durin the Third and Elrond were like they were besties, and they had blood brother, and I know secret elven words, and secret dwarven words, yay, and they hinted the Balrog, at the end of it, which was okay, yeah, that shit's coming. Yeah. Soon enough, but the Mithril thing is just
I like it.
Utter horse shit, for lack of a better word. So there we go. But anyway, it's fun to watch, and if you don't have any knowledge of the mythology and the books and stuff, you may have a better time with it than I do. Pam may like it. I'm just like, and I like it. I just think they could have done better. Still do.
All right, Pat's Corner. Let's turn the corner to David.
Well, I knew nothing about this show when it started. I got lost at the beginning. And so, I just couldn't keep up with it. I kept thinking Pennywise was going to pop up with the little bow.
Oh, not
Episode 1. Somewhere, though, the Stockholm Syndrome took effect, and I am enjoying it. I do find it is entertaining, and I'm getting into it a little bit better. It's still pretty tough for me to keep in mind. I'd say I'd read the stuff, but if I read the stuff, I'd be as ticked off as Patrick.
Yes, you would.
I would be. I don't doubt that at all. So I'm just kind of going with the flow. It's beautifully shot. It's a good standard line.
It's gorgeous.
And we'll leave it at that. It was all right.
I thought it was a pretty well. I have to say, I did have to try and watch it a couple times because I don't know. It was hard to watch this week. And I thought that I was like, why they gotta do the queen like that? I thought it was a fascinating way how they did it. I thought that was really brilliant. And but I was confused about Isildur. I was like, I thought it was with him. That's why I was like,
that's a whole nother thing they just went ahead and did wrong, and
I was like, I thought the captain of the sea, whatever his name is,
Ellendale,
his
father.
Why is he mad? I had to go back a couple of times to figure out. I was like, well, why he mad at that old girl? What's he mad about? This is war. Shit happens. So he
it's his son that got left behind or whatever. So yeah, he's a little ticked off about it. But let me jump a little thing in there too. I'm sorry to step on your moment here. I feel like Kanye talking to Taylor Swift right now. Now I know you
don't need to bring up Kanye this week.
You did great, but I'm going to tell you something here. Well, with the Queen saying we will come back and we will come back to that is way to go. You got something right accidentally. I'm sure they didn't mean to do that because after they've actively tried to do everything else wrong, but they actually got that right because that's what happens in the books. They Numenor comes back with force and just wipes Sauron off. Wipes his armies down to nothing, and that's how Sauron gets back to Numenor to actually start the downfall of Numenor. So that was a good little bit. So I'm sorry, Pam. Continue on. I apologize.
Okay. Well, it's glad to see that part did have your approval. But I thought that I just couldn't really connect with it this week, even though it was really beautiful. And the choreography, and then they brought the little Harfoot people back, or I think that's what they're called. But who were those bad elves? I was like, wait a minute, who are those people? And I think they would have left them alone. And then Johnny Goodfoot was like, I'm gonna burn you up. And they were like, oh, really? Whoop, blah.
We need more PJamma reenactments. I think that's what this little segment just showed us.
We like the bloop, blah. And I was like, but wait a minute. There was nothing to introduce these things, and I was confused at that point. I was like, I'm confused because they didn't look like they were trying to hurt anybody. They were just like, hey, we see something that we might be trying to figure out and find somebody. And it was like, wait a minute. So that didn't make any sense to me. That whole little segment, I'm like, I'm confused. So it definitely is it's great in terms of action and cinematography, but it's kind of a little jumbled in terms of I felt like the story. Got confused in part of the story. But, I think what it suffers from is there's several really great fantasy stories out there now that in comparison, this one might not be holding up as much. So it's definitely tough for this one. So, but it's what it may lack in story. I feel like it makes up for in visuals. So if nothing else, you can look at some great visuals and maybe one or two. The relationship between Durin and Elrond, I still really enjoy. So that keeps me going. Oh, you. And Disa was coming out like a future queen. She was like, look. But kind of like a daughter-in-law too. Like, your daddy ain't shit. And he's messing it up for you to rule. So you need to do something about it. In the great tradition of all strong wives. So definitely Deezer keeps me entertained and keeps me watching. So I think it keep watching. Next week is, I think this was a penultimate episode, as we say.
Good.
I think next week is the season finale. So.
And it will be a cliffhanger because they've contracted a crap ton of seasons of this already.
Oh, they have. Okay. So
Yeah, I think there's at least,
it.
I want to say there's at least 7 seasons already contracted.
Wow.
You know, the first season of
Well, in order to get that from the Tolkien estate, they had to really go big and promise big and sign big, because Tolkien's, you look at, there's only been three official movies, or well, 6 if you count those trashy Hobbit movies.
Right.
I mean, so in order to get
there's been some animated work at one.
Well,
time.
there was the Rankin, Lord of the Rings, which was basically just the Return of the King. They had to shrink that down quite a bit.
Yeah.
But it was, I mean, they don't let that intellectual property get out very often. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
So definitely, I feel like it's something to watch, and maybe after you have time later, after all the other stuff is not there, you have a chance to go back and watch it. You might enjoy it. So that takes us to the end of this week's episode. David, why don't you say goodnight to the people?
Everybody, great to be back. Keep watching these fun shows. We'll come back with our strong opinions, whether you agree with them or not. Have a great week.
Patrick, say goodnight to the people.
Good night, everybody. Make sure you're watching all these things. And I would also recommend reading the books. I'm going to tell you, the Tolkien books are some of the best fantasy ever written. And it is basically the basis of every fantasy story you've watched in the past 60 years. So go back to the original. And the reason all these other ones became good is because this one was that good.
Yeah. And it lasts, 80 years? That's the original stories or something like that. So, good things stand the test of time. Like PJammaLyfe. This is our second year, not quite our anniversary, but we're celebrating 2 years. In a few weeks, we'll have our anniversary. We're going to have some special surprises. Ooh. So next week, back to our slate of shows, House of the Dragon, Ring of Power, the finale, season finale of She-Hulk, and we're getting to the good part on Andor, as well as the movie Prey. Another prequel, I guess, of Predator.
Yeah.
I don't know why they have so many sequels and prequels to that trash, but here we'll be back next week to take a look at it, and hope you're there. Take care. Bye.
So long, everybody.